up, guys? Welcome to another episode of BAM GPG. I am your host, Bryson.
And I'll be your co-host, Ben. So, if you haven't already, give us a like, give us a subscribe, hit that subscribe button.
Turn on notifications.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can also follow us on TikTok at bam.brands. Again, you covered it before on TikTok. Do a little bit different. We kind of do some NFL picks throughout the season, as well as share some of our fan experience attending some of the games at Lambeau and, sometimes even on the road watching our Packers play.
Yeah.
So, wanted to kick off today, Bryson, fresh off the championship weekend. I had a couple.
Not who I wanted in the Super Bowl.
No, it's absolutely not. No. So I don't think it's who America wanted in the Super Bowl, right? So
I think that's who America did not want.
yeah, it was the opposite of what the majority. Outside of Philadelphia and Kansas City, I don't think anybody wanted to see this matchup. But
yeah,
here we are. Philadelphia versus Kansas City. Super Bowl down in New Orleans here in a couple weeks.
But yeah.
So let's kind of just briefly kind of delve into the games this weekend here. Let's start with the first one of the afternoon. We had the Washington Commanders versus Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, 29 for 48, 255 yards. One touchdown to one interception. And the backup actually played a little bit.
Yeah,
one for one, 23 yards.
Tressway, 1 for 1, 23 yards. And then across the field there, Jalen Hurts had a pretty solid game.
Yeah.
He's 20 for 28.
246 yards. One touchdown, 0 interceptions.
Yeah, so pretty solid game. Protected the ball, didn't really turn it over. Just kind of looking at this game here, the Philadelphia Eagles rushing attack really took this game over, right? So Washington was able to stay in it here, for the majority of the first half of the game, and then it really got out of hand here in the second half. Philadelphia outscoring the Commanders 21-0 in the fourth quarter alone. The star of the game, really been the star of the season all year, Bryson, Saquon Barkley. 15 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. 1 point in this game. It's just ridiculous stat here. 2 carries, 2 touchdowns.
Pretty dang good.
It's just insane. So
he's just too good to stop.
He is. And I don't know how you stop.
You can kind of stop him, like running the ball, taking the clock out, and scoring.
Yeah.
Touchdowns only. Then they'll be forced to pass the ball, but then they have A.J. Brown.
They do, yeah. So, that's one of those, double-edged swords. If you game plan too hard to stop the run, trying to contain Saquon, they're going to beat you in the pass game. A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. Even Saquon, he's a threat out of the backfield in the passing game as well. So really, really tough offense to defend. But it should be a good matchup in the Super Bowl. Chiefs got a pretty solid defense. So excited to see that. But I wanted to touch on Saquon here a little bit more, Bryson. I don't know how he's not the NFL MVP this year. Typically, I know the award goes to quarterbacks. It has for, some years now.
Last time it was not a quarterback, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, AP. So probably going to go to a quarterback this year. Probably somebody
I hope not.
Like Josh Allen.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson certainly has the numbers this year as well, but I don't know how you don't vote for Saquon. He would have set the season single rushing.
All I hope is nobody votes for Patrick.
Yeah,
That's all I hope.
I don't think Mahomes is going to win it this year, but if we had a vote, it would certainly be for Saquon this year.
Mine would be for Burrow.
Oh, you think you would vote for Burrow, huh?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, if possibly he would have been more in the consideration if they would have had a stronger start to the season.
Yeah, I feel like the offense did, but the defense
Yeah, the Cincinnati defense has been an issue now for
I mean,
a couple
in
years.
the second half of the season, it toned down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean they played a little bit better, and a lot of that may have been masked by the success of their offense towards the end of the
Yeah.
year. But certainly,
Especially during that Broncos game in overtime.
yeah, absolutely. So again, Cincinnati's going to be a team to watch out for next year. There's absolutely no reason they couldn't be
Yeah.
playing for a 1 seed next year. If they continue to build off the success they had here in the second half of the season, they're certainly going to be a force to reckon with. And exciting part about Cincinnati, we're going to get to see them at Lambeau Field next year. Mm-hmm. So
I expect them to be good.
yeah, absolutely. So it'll be fun.
It's going to be a good game.
Love Burrow. We'll see what happens. It's certainly going to be a game that it's going to be on our list to attend for sure. So got a lot of good home games at Lambeau next season, so it should be fun. It's going to be difficult, but if we're going to play these teams, I'd prefer to play them at Lambeau. Absolutely.
I mean, we're still playing some tough teams on the road. I think we're playing the Steelers.
Yeah, Pittsburgh will be tough.
Cardinals will be sneaky tough, I feel like.
Yeah, the Cardinals.
Well, it depends when we're playing them in the season because first half is sneaky tough and then second half is not good. So it depends when we're playing them.
Yeah, they kind of cool off. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Arizona usually, typically, I guess not typically, but historically have gotten off to some pretty hot starts and really kind of sizzled off later in the season. So, yeah, we'll see when dates get released. They've released the opponents, haven't released the dates yet, but, we'll certainly cover that once we do get a schedule release.
Yes.
A full schedule release.
We'll also do a little mock draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Got the draft coming up. It's going to be held in Green Bay this year, so be exciting.
Maybe we'll
to
go
see.
to it.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know how it'll all play out, but it should be exciting. It should be great for the city. It's beautiful in Green Bay.
It'll probably be 50, 100. I'd say about 50 years till they have it again in Green Bay.
Yeah, it could be a while. So this will be the first time ever, I believe. So it should be a great time. If you're considering it, highly recommend going. If you haven't been to Lambeau Field, take the tours, take the stadium tours.
Go.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of great history to learn. Tour guides are fantastic at Lambeau Field. Really good an in-depth look of the stadium. You get to go.
We've done it so many times. We could probably be there.
We probably could. Yeah, we could probably give you the tour ourselves. Hall of Fame's right inside the atrium there at Lambeau.
You gotta buy tickets.
Yep, you get tickets to it, but absolutely something you should check out.
Yeah.
A lot of history there. Especially with Green Bay being the third oldest team in the league. There's a lot of history to kind of browse through there at the Hall of Fame. So if you haven't.
I'm surprised the Cardinals, first team in the NFL, never, if I'm not mistaken, they've never won a championship and never won a Super Bowl.
No, they haven't. Yeah, so the Cardinals are oldest team in the NFL. I believe they started off in Chicago, moved to St. Louis, and now out to Arizona, I believe, if I'm correct. So, yeah, you got the Cardinals, Bears, Packers, three oldest teams in the league.
Mm-hmm. At least the Bears and Packers have done something.
They have. They have something in their trophy case. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. The Cardinals do not, though.
No, which is surprising,
yeah. Oldest team in the league and still do not have anything.
You would think just by the luck or odds alone, being in the league that long, you would have won something, but Arizona has not. So they've came close a couple times here recently. When they had Fitzgerald. I can't remember if Warner was still on the team, but they were close that year. Kind of fell short. So, yeah, Arizona, oldest team in the leagues, never won an NFL championship.
Surprising.
It is surprising, absolutely. So, again, if you haven't been to Lambeau Field,
go.
Go. If you can't make it to a game, the draft's on your radar. Absolutely recommend it.
If you can't make it to the draft, just go in the off season. They still have a lot to do.
Even in the off season, you take the stadium tours. They got trolley tours, Hall of Fame,
Titletown.
absolute Titletown right across the street.
Kids?
Yeah, a great place if you have kids. I mean, playgrounds. They got a full size football field out there. You got Arians Hill.
I always play in.
Always games, restaurants.
Yeah.
A lot of things to do there in Titletown. So if you haven't been to Lambeau, it's certainly something recommend.
This huge Hy-Vee.
They do. So Midwest here. One of the things we have, the big grocery store here is Hy-Vee, right? So it's found its way to Green Bay. So, but
they have like a little candy store in it.
They do. That's one of Bryson's favorite stops. So we'll stop in Hy-Vee and kind of game weekends, pick up the snacks and food and some of the drinks. And Bryson likes to hit up their mega candy aisle there in Hy-Vee right off of Oneida, I believe. So, yeah, if you haven't been to Green Bay, certainly if you can make it to a game weekend, highly recommend. There's nothing like it. We've been to quite a few other NFL stadiums, and just nothing compares to the atmosphere at Lambeau Field. So, lots to do even in the off season.
Like tubing in winter.
Yeah, so the Arian Hill there in the winter, Bryson will take the tube down that. It's always a good time. Always a good time. So let's transition over to the AFC side here, Bryson.
Yeah.
You had the Buffalo Bills taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in the kind of the nightcap of the weekend here. And it's probably, of the two games played on Sunday, probably, not probably, it is the better of the two games, with it being a 3-point margin of victory for the Chiefs. So let's kind of touch on that a little bit here, Bryson, if you want to kick it off here with the Bills.
Yeah, Josh Allen, 22 for 34, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They had 4 fumbles in total, I think, right?
Yeah,
but they recovered.
I believe so, yeah.
They recovered every single one of them.
Yeah, so they did have 4 fumbles.
Chiefs 1 fumble, but the Bills recovered it.
They did, yeah. Mahomes had that 1 fumble.
And you said whoever won the turnover game would win.
Did. Called me out on it. So that was my prediction before the game. I truly thought, whoever was able to win the turnover battle would probably come out victorious in this game.
I mean, the Chiefs should have won it, but...
Yeah. And again, at a glance, no turnovers for Buffalo, but when you have 4 fumbles, that affects you, right? Especially, if they are fumbles in the backfield, it's essentially a loss of yards, right? So it's a loss of down, loss of yards when you are fumbling in the backfield there. So, all the credit in this game goes to that Kansas City defense, in particular their defensive line, just constantly getting after the quarterback.
Buffalo's defense just did not show up. Their offense did pretty well. But the defense just did not show up at all.
No, and there's some interesting play call in the game. Just didn't seem like Buffalo wanted to transition from their game plan going into the game when they needed to. I mean, there were a few plays that kept running over and over, and they just weren't working, right? So, when that happens, you kind of need to transition away from that and try to find something that does work during the game.
But they did not do that.
They didn't, no. So... Josh Allen had a pretty solid game, but I really think, kind of the star for the Bills in this game was probably James Cook. He had 13 carries, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaged 6.5 yards a carry. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I did not expect him to be that good this game.
No, neither. And he's kind of sneaky good, right? He's one of those players that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but he's there. He's a good player. Absolutely. And the Chiefs, Mahomes had a pretty solid game again. Nothing spectacular. 18-26,
it's an okay game.
45 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Took care of the ball. That's what all you can ask for in a close game like this, right? You want to take care of the ball outside of that fumble he had. Kansas City rushing, Kareem Hunt, nothing spectacular. Pretty average game, 17 carries, 64 yards, and a touchdown. It's a 3.8 yards per carry average. But again, I
feel like Let's talk about wide receivers here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like pretty even for wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, nobody really jumps off the page here for you. Kind of the leading receiver of the games, Xavier Worthy.
Oh, I didn't know Juju Smith was on.
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster.
I didn't know he was on the Chiefs.
Yep, it's on the Chiefs. He had 2 catches, 60 yards, 30-yard average. But Xavier Worthy, 6 catches, 85 yards, 1 touchdown.
See, that's the only player I like on the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy.
Only player I like on the Chiefs.
He's a pretty solid player. Absolutely. But, all the credit in the world to Kansas City's defense. Their defensive front really got after him. It's pretty stout up front. Josh Allen tried to break it off the left guard a few different times, and they really bobbled it up, right? So, again, wouldn't be a Chiefs game without a couple questionable calls. On the catch interception call, and then that 4th down call with the run there. Did he make the line to gain? Probably. Was it a bad spot? Probably. It's one of those things that happen, but, it's like beating a dead horse here. You don't leave it up to the refs to decide the game, right?
Yeah.
He had 1 yard to get for Buffalo, so that's on them. They didn't take care of business when they needed to, and again, a lot of that can be attributed to some questionable play calling on their end.
I remember there was 2 third downs in the game, and the defense was just not showing up for both of those.
No.
They just had to stop one, and they didn't stop.
Yeah, their defense certainly couldn't seem to find a way to get Kansas City off the field, right? So,
like last time we played them, we won.
Yeah, we played Kansas City at home last year, so that was a fun game to be at. But yeah, they're a strange team. They're a tough team to beat. It always seems like especially this year in particular, the games are close.
It's like Josh Allen's just holding them together.
It is, yeah. So the Bills probably overperformed this year. They still have some holes to fill. Probably need some help at receiver, and then
Josh Allen's just
defensively
making them look good.
Yeah, Josh Allen, absolute stud, no question about it. So I kind of wanted to take a step back here from the Super Bowl, in a way. Looking at Green Bay, right?
Yeah.
So what is it that Green Bay is missing? So if you look at the 2 teams in the Super Bowl, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles. What pieces do they have that Green Bay doesn't have that's, preventing us from taking that next step, to play in a championship game, to get an opportunity to play in a Super Bowl?
2 words, wide receiver.
Wide receiver, yeah, and it's finding that number 1 wide receiver, find that veteran presence. Getting that guy in there that can really, if they're going to play man coverage, get that guy in there that can, beat that man coverage.
You know what I'm thinking? Like, get your veteran number 1, get him for like a 2-year deal, and then you get number 2 from the draft. And your number 2 will learn from your number 1, that's a veteran. And then when your number 1 retires, your number 2 would become the number 1. And then your number 1 that you drafted would be in his prime.
Yeah, draft and develop, right? So get that number 1 guy in there. Really a guy that some of these younger, and Green Bay's got some younger wide receivers, right? So it'd be a guy that these younger receivers can really learn from, right? You bring that veteran presence into the locker room. We've talked extensively on Devontae Adams. A guy like that would do wonders for these wide receivers, right? So you got the likes of Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson. Not going to see him till the latter part of next season, but guys like that, and Dontavian Wicks even, I think that veteran wide receiver would really help. So, there's some obvious holes, especially with the Jair situation. We're absolutely going to have to address cornerback, but kind of one of the common themes, that I've seen between these two teams, defensive line, right? They're not having to be, Kansas City does, but they don't have to the entire game. They bring exotic blitz pressures just to get to the quarterback, right? So Kansas City, Chris Jones wrecks havoc up the middle there, right? He causes chaos for the offense constantly, and then you flip it over to Philadelphia. Their defensive line's stout too, right? Younger up front, but again, the absolute, Jalen Carter on the Philadelphia Eagles, similar to Chris Jones, causes issues up there. So, that's going to, I feel like that's a area where Green Bay could probably address in the draft. But if there's veteran presence out there, maybe it's a Khalil Mack, a guy that plays. I know he's getting up there in age, going to be 34 coming up, but still a guy very productive this offseason. He could be a guy that if you can bring him in on the right deal, he'd be a great addition to this defense. He'd bring that mentality to this defensive line. It's something we were missing this year. We did see some improvement from players like Lucas Van Ness, especially on the run defense, but we didn't see that pass rush improvement from Van Ness this year. Something, hopefully, going into year 3, we'll see a little bit more of. But need another guy on that defensive front, kind of take some of the pressure off of Rashawn Gary's, Kenny Clark, TJ Slayton, excellent run.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, TJ Slayton, big body to get in there, but he's not an every down defensive lineman. That's something we're missing. That's something both of these teams have that Green Bay doesn't have. So that's an area I would, certainly like to see Green Bay improve on.
I'm just tired of Jair.
Yeah.
Just move on from him at this point.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for him, frustrating for the organization. We want him on the field. Jair wants to be on the field. It's just been a real frustrating the past couple of years on both ends there. So I think
we do not know what's going on.
Yeah, don't know what's going on with the Jair situation, but I certainly expect him to not be a Packer next season. So cornerback's going to be something we need to shore up. But, again, I'd like to see us add pieces to that defensive front as well. So let's jump forward here. Super Bowl weekend here in a couple weeks. You got the Eagles versus Chiefs. What's kind of your initial take on this game? And I believe Kansas City, for the first time in the last 2 years, is going to open up the Super Bowl as a 1.5 favorite.
Does that mean they're going to lose?
I don't know. Is that bad juju for them?
I think so.
You think so?
I just hope they do not repeat.
No, and it's going to be tough, Are they going to be able to bottle up Saquon?
And everybody that watches football at school, I always ask, I've been asking them today, who do they want to win, Chiefs or Eagles? Everybody said Eagles.
There you go.
Nobody
Bryson
wants
taking the polls for us. So
nobody wants the Chiefs to win.
It isn't. And it's not the matchup anybody wanted, right?
No.
I think America, outside of Philadelphia and Kansas City, I think America wanted to see Buffalo and Washington in the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, we have the rematch of the Chiefs and Eagles. So it should be a fun game to watch. Kansas, like I kind of praised them just a little bit ago here. This Kansas City's defensive front, be an interesting matchup. Are they going to be the team that can kind of bottle up and keep Saquon?
Philly's offense versus Kansas City's defense.
Yes, it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. And even Philadelphia's defense, I think they were the top of the league, if not 1 or 2 in the league this year. So both sides of the ball for both teams. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I mean, as long as Kansas City loses, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody wants him to three-peat.
No, don't want to keep that claim to fame on the three-peat to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Didn't we? Yeah, we two-peated first. We were the first team to two-peat.
yep, Super Bowl 1 and 2.
We were the first team to three-peat in championship.
Yeah, so if you're not just counting the Super Bowl era, right? So Green Bay was actually the first team to win to three-peat NFL championships. So
And that's the closest we are right now to Super Bowls.
yep, absolutely. So if you're condensing it down to just the Super Bowl era, the Kansas City Chiefs would be, if they were able to win the Super Bowl here in a couple weeks, would be the first team in that Super Bowl era bubble to win 3 in a row. But if
Which
you're
I
looking
hope
at
they
the
do not.
National Football League throughout the history, Green Bay has actually completed a three-peat first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's going to...
Like, I don't think anybody knows about that, though.
They don't.
Like,
And it's,
most people don't.
outside, if you're not a Packer fan, following some of these Packer pages, it's probably not something you hear about, because people like to look at when they look at historical things, they like to do it within the Super Bowl era.
I do not know why.
No, because, if you and again, it's one of those things, if you look outside of the Super Bowl era and combine all NFL championships, Green Bay has 13 world championships. Wow, which would
So
certainly
we've already
be,
three-peated.
yeah, certainly be the top of the NFL. But Super Bowl time frame, we have 4 of them. Super Bowl 1 and 2, 31 and 45.
Yeah. So technically, if the Chiefs win, they'll be the second team.
Technically, you're correct. I 100% agree with that. So, if you're not a Packer fan, you're probably not agreeing with us, but that's okay. We'll stick to our claim to fame on that one. But yeah, no, we're excited. Not excited about the teams that got in, but we're certainly excited for the game.
Yeah.
Right? So, just curious how both teams are going to perform. Saquon, Philadelphia Eagle offense, certainly going to face a formidable defense in Kansas City with their front. So, should be a fun game. A couple weeks away from it. Mm-hmm. So, a lot.
We'll be hosting a party.
Yep. So, we'll have a Super Bowl watch party at our house here with some friends. Mm-hmm. So, it should be a good time. Which way you're kind of leaning on the game. You don't have to make a prediction yet, but is there a team that you'd rather see win over the other?
No. I'd rather get canceled. I'd rather
You'd rather the game get canceled?
And the best 2 players to decide the 31st and 32nd pick. They just do rock, paper, scissors with the best 2 players.
Just cancel the game, and we'll have a rock, paper, scissors contest to see where the draft order falls. Huh?
Yeah.
I think America probably agrees with you on that one. But nonetheless, it's football. It's a Super Bowl.
We have to.
Yep, certainly.
They're not going to cancel it.
No, certainly got to watch it. And
I wish they would, but
my mind may change here, but I'm certainly probably going to pull for Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. For a few reasons, right? So, like many others, I have that Kansas City Chiefs fatigue.
me too.
Right.
I have it too.
But also, there's a couple players on Philadelphia, not many, but Saquon, great guy. Love Saquon. He's fun to watch. And then the Iowa boy, Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, I wish we could have picked them up.
Yeah, Green Bay absolutely. He fell into our laps, and that was the pick we traded away to Philadelphia, and they ended up taking Cooper in that. So,
and won't they wasn't he in stats the number 1 corner in stats?
he was certainly top of the league. I don't know exactly where he fell, but certainly in coverage, he was towards the top of the league for cornerbacks this year.
Yeah.
So, and then he also brings another addition to the game. He did the same thing with the Hawkeyes. His kick returns, punt returns, is absolutely dangerous in those as well. So he's a fun player to watch. That's probably where I'm leaning, is towards Philadelphia. But after this past weekend, it's hard to count out Kansas City.
Yeah.
They just seem to find a way to win when it matters most. Absolutely.
Fumbles. Toe.
Yeah, the first game of the season, that was against Baltimore, the toe on the line. So, I'm hoping, like many Kansas City games, there's always a controversial call.
Field goal.
Yep. There always seems to be a controversial call that goes. Just keep naming them. But yeah, there always seems to be a controversial call that just watching them seems to go Kansas City's way the majority of the time. Like we mentioned, you even had it this past weekend, catch interception, the spot on that fourth down.
He should have caught that on that.
Yeah, that kind of desperation heave by Josh Allen there towards the end of the game.
He definitely should have caught
That's a tough one. Yeah, that's a tough one to live with if you're him as well. Certainly a ball. Probably wasn't expecting it, but
that could have been caught.
Certainly should have probably been hauled in by him, but then you had that 4th and 1 run. Did he make the line to gain? Probably. Was it a bad spot? Probably.
Yeah.
Calls like that though are hard to overturn. Right?
Yeah.
So if you leave it up to the refs, leave it up to the review.
Do not leave it up to us.
No, you can't. I mean, you got to get it, right? As we mentioned, Buffalo just kept doing the same thing over and over, right? And it wasn't working.
Are too smart.
Yeah, I mean they absolutely know your tendencies, and if you're not going to get off of them, it's going to be a long game for you against Kansas City. So excited to see, excited for the Super Bowl here in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. We'll cover some more off-season things as things develop with Green Bay. Free agents, coaching staff, draft.
Maybe do some NBA a little.
Yeah,
NBA.
I mean, we certainly do some NBA talk.
I probably know more than you.
You probably do. You're probably up to date a little bit more than me on the NBA. Bryson here's a big Boston Celtics fan, so made it to his first.
People probably expected me to be a Lakers fan.
Yeah, most people his age tend to follow the Lakers. They're still under that LeBron umbrella, but he's a big Jason Tatum fan with the Celtics. Made it to his first game this year. I grew up a Bulls fan, so we went up to, being from Iowa, Chicago's really not too terrible of a drive for us. So we went up there, watched the Bulls get beat pretty easily by the Celtics.
In the fourth quarter, it was tied up. And I thought it was going to be a close game, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. Jason Tatum really came on that game and really put him away. So it was fun to watch. Yeah, it's first NBA game for both of us.
One time where Jason Tatum dunked over a person.
It was, yeah. He's one of those NBA players that's probably doesn't get the accolades he deserves. It's mind-boggling how he hasn't won an MVP yet.
Yeah. He's been close.
He's been close.
Hasn't he won Finals MVP?
I don't think he won the Finals MVP last year.
Who was that?
I can't remember who they gave it to.
Jaylen Brown?
It might have been. But Tatum, absolutely probably should have been in the MVP running here. But
Drew Holiday? Did they give it to Drew Holiday?
It might have been. I don't think it was Tatum, though. Could be wrong.
Derek White?
Maybe.
Kristaps Porzingis?
I don't think it was Porzingis, but
it wasn't Al Horford.
No. But certainly, a topic we can cover here coming up. We're going into a long off season, but again, we'll certainly keep you up to date on any of the happenings around Green Bay. So, again, it'll be exciting here in a couple weeks as we build up anticipation for the Super Bowl.
Half of the players I know in the NBA are because of 2K.
Yeah, Bryson likes his 2K. He also likes your franchise modes on Madden as well. So
I play some college football too.
got a GM in the making here.
I play some college football too.
He does. Yep. And we're just up the road from Iowa City here, so definitely big fans of the Hawkeyes. So, well, thanks for listening to us here.
Yeah, and as always,
Go Pack Go.